Hi, welcome to Quartertone Harmony. I'm Kurt, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about how to do quartertone music without using quartertones. Quartertone music without quartertones? Are you crazy? How is that even possible? That's what I said. And not only is it possible, it's actually pretty easy. I'm just going to dive right in and show you how to do it. We'll start with a strong quartertone progression from Beyond the Circle of Fifths, the complete circle of sevenths. That sequence is using the old Hava technique of alternating pure field chords between the two fields. We can make the sequence mostly in one field by using good mixed field chords from The Truth About Quartertone Chords. Two of the chords I mentioned in that episode have 3 out of 4 notes on the opposite field from the root of the chord, the neutral 11th and the neutral 13th. So what would this sequence sound like if we used one of those instead? Let's test it. Here's that sequence using neutral 11th on all the quartertone roots. Not as compelling, but still very recognizable. But we can go further. Remember in the magic chord, we found that chords are often usable with 1 or even 2 microtonal alterations. If we alter the root of that chord down by a quartertone, we get a common chord, the French 6. So what does the sequence sound like with French 6? And there we have it. A strong, recognizable quartertone chord progression using only notes from the traditional 12-tone scale and not one quartertone anywhere. I call this the Quartertone Shadows approach because we hear the effects of quartertones without actually hearing any quartertones. That sequence is still hyperchromatic, not in any key, but we can use a similar approach to coerce it into a key. Remember how in Beyond the Circle of Fifths, we saw that the circle of sevenths maps onto the circle of fifths reversed with an additional chord in between each step. We'll take the chords in the field of the key and build them using only notes from that key. So in the key of C, a chord on D would become a minor seventh, and so forth. And drop all the chords that don't belong, along with all the quartertone chords that connect them. That leaves us with one step that's off by a semitone. Much like if you force the circle of fifths into a key, you end up with a tritone step. And just like with the circle of fifths, we just go ahead and take it. It's a neutral third and fits in rather well between the 13th and 4th degrees. So now we have a quartertone sequence and a 12-tone key even, although, to be fair, with a lot of chromatic chords added to it. Now, those of you who are fast on their mental feet are probably thinking, I wonder if anyone's ever done something like this. Hold that thought. I'll get back to it. You can coerce to a key without using quartertone shadows. That's the approach I took in my quartertone swing piece. I altered some chords, I added some passing notes, I dropped 2 chords altogether, although I added in some riffs that make references to them, and this is what I got. No theory explanation for the changes other than dodging some iffy melodic bits, and quartertone progressions are long, and they can get kind of plodding if you don't change them up a bit. Just out of curiosity, I decided to apply quartertone shadowing to that sequence. well. Quartertone shadowing also works on the circle of 11ths. This time we'll swap in neutral 13ths on the quartertone roots. And then also the roots down by a quarter tone to get half diminished 7th chords. Still something of the quartertone feel left, although less because those half diminished 7th permit some alternative interpretations of it. With the circle of 11ths, the cis-field chords are moving by semitones, so we can't really coerce this one into a key. Quartertone Shadows works on the circle of 13ths too. Swap in neutral 11th, alter to French 6. And once again, we've got a recognizable quartertone chord progression entirely with 12-tone notes. With this circle, we can coerce to a key again. As an aside, on the circle of 13ths, the 5th degree, which normally functions as a dominant, has a predominant function. And you can hear that even in the shadowed version. Quartertone shadowing works on reverse circles as well. Here's a reverse circle of 13ths using a mix of diminished and dominant 7th chords. Now, let's apply quartertone shadowing to put that into a pure 12-tone sequence, and just for fun, let's throw a little bit of swing on the end. Wait, what are those last 3 chords again? Does that sound familiar to you? Well, it probably should. That's right, the climactic cadence of In the Mood is exactly the same notes as a quartertone shadowed closure of the reverse circle of 13ths. That's a really great piece in general, but I think that sequence is what really sells it. And I've always thought there was something different and special about it, long before I ever heard of quartertones or a microtonality. The conventional explanation for that sequence is it's a 4-5-1 with a jazzy spelling of the dominant. The root and the third are missing, and we've got a minor 9th and an 11th. I don't think that's wrong, but as we saw in the magic chord, a group of notes can function as more than one kind of chord at once, and the ambiguity from that can add an interesting sound to it. So I think this sequence is both that traditional 4-5-1, but with a jazzy spelling, and a quartertone for 13-1, but with quartertone shadowing. And it's the combination of these two very different interpretations that gives that sequence its unique sound. If you know of any music that you think might have some quartertone shadowing going on, then drop me a note or a link in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you thought this was interesting, remember to hit like and subscribe so you'll hear more about quartertone harmony in the future. To sum up, we found that quartertone shadowing can help us produce new and interesting sequences with the feel of quartertone harmony, but entirely done with traditional 12-tone notes. In addition, quartertone shadowing provides an explanation for the memorable sound of a traditional jazz standard. So not only does quartertone harmony allow us to make smooth and harmonious quartertone music, but also provides tools and techniques to spice up traditional 12-tone music. Next episode, tools and techniques for using quarter-tone intervals melodically. I might put out some example pieces first. We'll see how it works out. Till then, keep making music and keep making a difference.